Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into, well, a pretty challenging book, Revelation, but we're looking at it through a specific lens, from a source called The Triumph of Christ, Revelation Unsealed.
Yeah, it offers a really different perspective.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Our mission here is to explore that view, one that might be honestly quite liberating compared to how many people see Revelation. So many folks approach it with, fear, looking for signs of doom. But this source asks, what if it's not mainly about future disaster? What if it's really an unveiling, the literal meaning, right? Apocalypsis.
That's it, and an unveiling of Christ's victory happening now.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Well, the central argument the author makes is moving away from fear-based readings. It's about seeing Revelation for what it claims to be in verse 1. The revelation of Jesus Christ.
Not just about future events, but of him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
About his finished work, his life, death, resurrection, ascension, and the present reality of his kingdom that it's already established.
Yeah, the book is pretty critical of some traditional interpretations, like futurism, which focus almost entirely on, events way down the line. It suggests that they can create fear or maybe miss the main point.
Right, and the alternative lens it uses is sometimes called spiritual preterism. Sounds a bit academic, maybe.
A little, yeah.
But basically, it's the idea that a lot of Revelation's prophecies, they've already been fulfilled, mainly in the spiritual reality Christ brought in.
Okay.
The source points to Jesus saying the kingdom of God is within you, in Luke.
Right, Luke 17.21.
And Hebrews, talking about a kingdom that cannot be moved, is arguing this kingdom isn't just something we're waiting for. It's here, now.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me and maybe a bit surprising. The New Jerusalem. That vision of the city coming down from heaven.
Big one.
According to this source, that's not primarily a future literal city. It's presented as the present reality of the church, the bride of Christ, like today.
Yes. And the book digs into some fascinating details there, like its dimensions. Revelation says it's a perfect cube, right?
Yeah, Revelation 21.
Well, the source connects that directly to the Holy of Holies in the Old Testament temple, which was also a cube.
Huh. Okay, what's the significance there?
Well, the Holy of Holies was where God's presence dwelled most intimately. So the argument is, by using those same dimensions, Revelation is showing God's intimate presence is now with his people, the church. Not in a building, but, among us.
Wow. So the dwelling place of God is the community of believers now.
That's the idea. And it ties into Isaiah, where the city's walls are called salvation and its gates praise.
Isaiah 60.
Right. The church is seen as fulfilling that a spiritual city built, like Ephesians says, on the apostles and prophets, with Christ himself as the cornerstone, not future stones and mortar.
Okay, so if the New Jerusalem is the church, the redeemed, what about the flip side? Mystery Babylon, the harlot. That's usually seen as some future evil empire.
It is. But what's fascinating here is how the source contrasts them. It makes a case, a pretty strong one, that Mystery Babylon actually represents apostate Jerusalem.
Whoa. Okay. That's definitely different. What's the evidence presented for that?
There are some striking parallels pointed out, like Babylon's rich decorations in Revelation 18, the gold, jewels, pearls. They closely mirror descriptions of Jerusalem's temple treasures, and also how prophets like Ezekiel described Jerusalem's spiritual unfaithfulness using similar imagery.
Like in Ezekiel 16.
Exactly. And also the laments over Babylon's fall in Revelation, the language, the specific details like the silencing of music and millstones, they echo ancient laments for Tyre, yes, but especially laments over Jerusalem found in Jeremiah and Ezekiel.
So textual echoes pointing back to historical Jerusalem's rejection of Christ, essentially.
That's the argument the source builds, yeah. Identifying her not with the future, but with the past.
And briefly, what about symbols like the beast or the dragon in Revelation 12?
Well, the dragon is identified as Satan, as is pretty standard, but the crucial point the source makes is about defeat. It stresses Christ already defeated Satan through his life, death, and resurrection.
Right, like Jesus saying, he saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven.
No, Luke 10.18, exactly. A victory already happening then. And Revelation 12 itself says the saints overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. It's not about future military might against Satan.
It's a spiritual victory, won by Christ, lived out by believers.
That's the core of it.
So bringing this all back, if Revelation is fundamentally about Christ's present victory, his current kingdom, his church as the New Jerusalem now, what does this mean for you listening?
Well, it's quite profound, really.
It feels like an invitation, maybe, to stop scanning the horizon just for doom, and instead to start living in that victory, seeing yourself as a citizen of this unshakable kingdom right now, walking in the light of the Lamb, as Revelation puts it.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is how this perspective aims to shift the whole feeling of the book, from fear to faith, from anxiety about what's coming to confidence in what Christ has already done. His triumph is completed, not just awaiting.
A complete reorientation.
It really is. And, this raises an important question.
Go on.
A provocative thought, maybe, from the source. Will you keep looking mainly for signs of future trouble, focusing on the Babylon aspects? Or will you start focusing on living in the light of the Lamb today, actually embodying the reality of the New Jerusalem right now? Which reality will you inhabit?